So I'm going to wrap it up and tell you one more story. I got to tell this. I love it. Pulls it all together. It's a story about a young girl who understood the power of positive words. Let me tell y'all something. There's no eraser on your tongue when you speak to people. You know that. How you talk to yourself is so important. But what you let into your mind is so important. This girl knew that. She was focused on her future. You talk about authentic. She was the real deal. And guess what? She was a farm girl. From the great state of Illinois. She wanted to be her hometown queen and to be represented in the Miss Illinois pageant. She went to the organizational meeting, raised her hand. She said, "Now what do you do for talent?" The man said, "Well, you do what you do best." She said, "Oh." She thought for a minute. She said, "What if you have a problem?" He said, "Well, we're required if you have a technical problem, you have to do it again. It's a rule." She said, "No problem. Got it." Wrote down, "I will be performing a classical musical rendition." Well, dress rehearsal, honey, she pulls up in a big old pickup truck with a cattle trailer hooked onto it. Pageant director ran out, kind of a nervous guy. He said, "What's this?" She said, "My talent." He said, "We thought you were going to play the piano." She said, "No, I'm going to play this cow." She said, "You know, you said do what you do best, and I'm the 4-H cow milking champion for the state of Illinois." I said, wait a minute. There's a rule, no live animals on stage. She said, "Oh, I read that rule book. There is nothing in there about that. But today, it's in great big bold print, and this is why." Well, she got that cow out of that trail up on the stage with some hay. Honey, she had a funny looking little bucket with dents all in it, and this great big galvanized bucket she put right behind her. Hands the sound man a CD, grabs her instruments. All of a sudden, the most beautiful sounds filled the auditorium. It was classical, it was musical, and it went like this. Da-na-na-na-na, squish, 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 squish. Da-na-na-na-na, squish, 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 squish. It was good. The guy ran up and said, wait a minute, what if this cow has a need?" She said, "That's what that big bucket's for." She said, "But don't worry, I raised her, I know her. Unless she's terribly startled, remember that." Well, honey, pageant night, it was her turn. She walked down on stage in molded green 4-H sequin hog washers. She sat down, grabbed her instruments, nods to the sound man, da-na-na-na-na, squish, 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 squish. People were just, "Oh, this is awesome, this is amazing." Well, the local photographer said, "What a great picture to put on the front page of the local newspaper." He got his supersonic Nikon flash up in the face of that cow, and boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, that cow quit chewing and let out a moo that rattled that auditorium. And then the tail started to wiggle. And we all know that's the international symbol for get the bucket. When she reached back to get that bucket, honey, it was gone. That pageant director pushed it way back. She jumped up to get the bucket. He jumped up. They ran at the same time at the same pace, ran into each other, over the main power source, unplugged it. The whole place went dark. And that cow went nuts. It stampeded this way, and the audience stampeded that way. Well, guess what? They had to evacuate, mop, shovel, scrub, hose down. That girl was just fine. She's so confident in her talent. She walked up to that director who wanted to choke her, and she said, "You said if we have a technical difficulty, we can do it again." He said, "What kind of technical difficulty did you have?" She said, "You moved my bucket." And she did it again. To an empty auditorium with 5 judges in the back. That's the spirit of FFA. Well, hey everybody, I am so stoked today. By the way, I hope you like that little bit on the front. I always like to start with something interesting. But we have got someone, it's my heart friend.
I think we've been friends for over 40 years. And this beautiful Dale Smith Thomas still looks like she's 35 or maybe 25. Oh my gosh. But what a career. That's what I want you all to understand today as we talk uh, on the front porch, going off of Jeannie's back porch show. So, this is going to be a lot of fun because as Southern gals, Dale's from Mississippi. She's going to tell us all about it. I'm going to bring her in. You're going to love her, love her, love her. Wait till you see her. What do you see her? We were just talking about Miss Universe having no age limit. And I said, Dale, you can compete. She already has. She'll tell you all about it. Let's unmute. I'm working on my laptop, so y'all going to have to forgive me.
Oh, that was so awesome. Oh my goodness. Hey, Jane.
Hey, girl, you look stunning. You're one of the few women
Oh,
I know. Your hair gets better and more incredible. Every time I see you, it looks fabulous. You look great.
I'm a girl from the South. There's got to be some big hair. I still do the hot rollers, my friends. This is all the hot rollers because I've got so much hair. I just had my hair did this morning. Thank you very much. My new stylist, Gordon. But as you know, last year I lost my dear friend Stephen.
Yes.
He had been doing my hair for over 30 years, Jane. And I tell you, um, it's tough when you have to find a new hair guy. It's easier to find a new husband than it is a hair guy, I think. And I tell you, when you've got somebody that's had their hands in your hair as long as Stephen had, and what was so great about Stephen is that he was a true Southern guy. And I'd go in and say, Stephen, I think I want to be blonder today. He'd say, do I tell you how to speak? I'm like, no, you don't. He said, then sit down, shut up, let me do your hair.
You
So
remember I
thank
talked
you,
about,
Jane.
well, John all the time. And John, and I'd say, John, baby, and he'd say, just shut up. My mistakes grow out. Unlike yours. I said, oh, hush up. Well, I'll have to set the stage a little bit too. When we met, it was right after I was in Miss America, and one of
Yes.
your, if not your best friend, walked away with the title of Miss
Yep.
America, who was Miss Mississippi, Cheryl Pruitt. And she
Yes.
was our heart thread. And
Yes.
that was so special. So we've just been buddies ever since, and our careers have grown together. We've wined together. We've celebrated babies together. And believe it or
Yes.
not, I'm going to make the announcement Dale is a grandmother.
I'm a
So,
grandmother. No, I'm a honey. I've decided to be honey. I'm that baby's honey. And Jane, do you remember? Okay, we met around 79 or 80 when y'all
yeah,
were at Miss America, and I was working with Cheryl. But then fast forward in the early 90s, you probably remember that date better than I do, when I came to my very first NSA convention. And that's the National Speakers Association. I'm sure y'all know from listening to Jeannie, especially. And it was my first convention. I was very new in the business. And I remember walking into my very first meeting, Jeannie, that I knew nothing about because I knew nothing. I didn't choose this industry or this path. This is my calling. So it chose me. And Jeannie's at the front. And then the next thing I know, and I thought she's fabulous. And then all of a sudden, you're walking down the aisle, I believe, with a baton. Was
I
that
was
correct?
in my Easter dress with the puffy sleeves and the puffy skirt. How pathetic. I couldn't let go, of the
Oh my
puffy
gosh.
and the bows.
Uh,
And you had on the most gorgeous molded suit. Was it that pea green? Because I love that pea green suit.
I don't think it was that one. I think that one came later. But I had, like I said, I came to this conference. I didn't know what I was walking into. And I was just so overjoyed to see you. And I kept saying to myself, that's Jane. That is Jane. And here we are all these years later, celebrating the spirit of Jeannie and what she meant to all of us, and hopefully continuing to carry this torch of light and laughter and love and Southernisms as we all continue on our own paths. But that was a very special day. And what was funny about that, I'm sure I told you this, the woman that had gotten me in the kind of in the speaking business, Marilyn Wright, she always wore a little bow, and we lovingly called her Bowhead, still do. And she told me, she said, Dale, you need to go to NSA. Well, at the time, there was a network marketing company that was a water treatment filter company called NSA. And I'm like, Marilyn, why do I need to go to the water treatment filter convention? And she's like, no, National Speakers Association. And so that began a real lifelong friendship with you and so many great people that I met that we are still connected to. And it's been a wonderful journey. And you are my heart friend, Jane. You are my heart friend.
Me too, sweetie. You know, and I'll have to go back. I know everybody's going baton. Well, full disclosure, being the ignorant speaker that I was in the genesis of speaking, someone gave me a tape of Jeannie telling the baton story. And I said, I think I'll tell that too. But I never said it happened to me. But anyway, I had people call me. I didn't know what they were saying. You better join in there, stay. And I'm thinking, why? And it was because I was telling Jeannie's signature story, which was not right. And so someone in charge of the convention heard about it and said, you need to give Jeannie a baton at the first timer session.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yes, honey, that was a peace offering. And that's when I got to know Jeannie. And how lame is this? I overfunction. So I had my dress, the pattern of flowers on my puffy Easter dress made so it would match the baton. How sick is that? So I matched the baton.
You said that there was I think I remember you said there was a child walking around the hotel that had on that same dress.
She kept saying, Mommy, look, you're a successful speaker. And that woman right there is wearing my Easter dress. And she was like, hey.
Oh, it was so funny.
Oh God. So believe me, I got the memo from that and your fabulous looking self that day in that suit. But you know what, Dale? I think a lot of people look at us and think, oh wow, the beauty queen journey. Where's my crown? I have it out here somewhere.
You have it?
You see?
Of course you do somewhere. Mine's in my office.
I don't know where, but I was in such a whirlwind today, but it's somewhere in here. Can you believe that? I was making fun of it yesterday, but I'm proud of it. But you made a comment because, you know, take us back to rural Mississippi and growing up and how much the opportunity of competition meant to you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know, I grew up at Route 3, Box 89, Eupora, Mississippi. And just for kicks and giggles, the last time I went home, I asked Siri to direct me to Route 3, Box 89, Eupora, Mississippi. And Siri said to me, I'm sorry, I do not know where that is. And I'm like, neither does anyone else. And so I grew up 10 miles out in the country from this little town of Eupora, 2,000 people. And, you know, Jane, I wasn't brave like you and Cheryl to compete when I was in my, you know, teens and 20s. I think I competed twice. I was the Farm Bureau queen, but that was only because Daddy was in the Farm Bureau. That is the only reason. There were only two girls in that, so they gave it to me because Daddy was in Farm Bureau. And then I did compete in America's National Teenager. You know, you get the little letter in the mail that says you've been selected to compete. And my mama made me a little white eyelet dress. And if there was 50 girls, I came in 55th. I mean, I was so shy, so insecure. This is before I was indoctrinated with these life principles that I learned from Cheryl. And so I competed a couple of times, but y'all, fast forward, I waited until I was in my late 20s. I already had a baby. And what I was doing, Jane, was I was doing some private coaching for girls that were entering pageants, but only with interview. And because I'd learned from Cheryl to let your light shine and be real. And I just want to teach these girls not to be fake, just be real. And you know what these little girls said to me? Miss Dale, how can you teach us anything? You ain't ever won anything. I'm like, really? That's with your outside voice that you said that to me. So they brought me an application to Mrs. Tennessee. Now, here was my thought process, Jane. I had how old was he? He might have been 13 months old. He was little. And I thought, if I could win this pageant, I can go from $20 an hour to $25 an hour. That's what I thought. I can stay home with my baby, and we can buy groceries. And so I showed up at that pageant expecting that women at that age, 28 with kids, they ain't nobody gonna show up and do that. There
Yeah,
were
yeah.
55 women competing.
No.
Yes, bigger than the national. And listen, when I pulled up, and I teach everybody that comparison is the thief of joy. I can't look at
Yeah,
you and all your beautiful talent, Jane, and compare myself to you, because that just takes my eyes off what I'm supposed to do, which is be my best. So
right,
if
right,
y'all
right.
are listening to us right now, comparison is the thief of joy. Whatever you're
I,
comparing yourself to, stop it. Just stop it.
and
So
also,
you know what?
Dale, to interject this, when we have children, we that really robs our joy to look at
Yes,
Susie Q down the road with the perfect children, that you meet up with at the grocery store, and you just want to run, hide, and cry. But you are right. It is a comparison through your life's journey. It
through your
is.
life. Well, I knew that, but I wasn't practicing that day.
Mhm.
So I got out of the car walking into the Opryland Hotel, and this woman drives up in a car bigger than my mom and daddy's house. I promise you, it was a huge old car. And so she gets out and she starts strolling to the door. And I was like, oh dear Jesus, please don't let that girl be in this pageant. And so I just walked up to her and tapped her on the shoulder, and I said, excuse me, who are you? What are you here for? She said with a hair toss, my name is Angelique Richardson, and I am here for the Mrs. Tennessee pageant. I turned to my husband and I said, you get my stuff. We leaving now. And he said, I can't believe you tell all your girls, don't compare yourself. Don't compare yourself. And here you are comparing yourself. I said, the only thing, Jane, that you can say at that point to a husband, you say, shut up, stop it. Well, maybe that's why he's the starter husband. Y'all get there in a minute. He's the starter husband. That was the starter husband. That's just a positive way to say X. My starter husband.
I
Well,
love that.
I went on in there and tried to practice my faith and tried to just believe myself into this. They
Yeah.
told us if you made the top 5, you didn't have to do the dance number. So I practiced my faith and didn't learn it. This is not a good plan. This is not a good plan. I made the top 15. I was so scared of not making the top 15. I was afraid I was going to have to go to $15 an hour if I didn't make the top 15. I jumped so high that I almost busted the butt out of the dress I had borrowed when I made the top 15. The judges are looking at me like, does she know this is just the top 15? Well, I made the top 15. That's as far as I got. And my little girls were going, you did so good. And I'm like, yeah, y'all lied to me now. But the second year I went back, still 50 something women. I came in second runner up. Third year, I am 30 years old with a 3-year-old. And I went in a little bit different, Jane, because I think when you walk into a competition like that, it's real easy to get lost and try to be what you think they want you to be.
Oh, yeah.
And, and I just decided I was going to be full out me, this accent, all of it. And if they loved it, they loved it. And if they didn't, they didn't. And y'all listen to us right now. We are HBBQs, has been beauty queens. And all that means is that was our vehicle. Jeannie had that vehicle too. This was just our vehicle to get to where we were supposed to be in life. It doesn't make us any different than anybody else. Maybe a little crazier because we competed in a pageant with swimsuit and high heels, but maybe we a little crazier, but that's how we got there. And I just decided this was my last year, and I was blessed enough to win in 1990, and that is how my speaking career started. People started asking me to speak, and I started telling stories about growing up poor in Mississippi, about learning that it's your decisions that determine your destiny, not your conditions. So that was my path to the crown.
I love that, and I love you for that, because you've just spoken to my heart, and I know everybody's receiving that. And we know these things, but we need to be reminded of these things.
Oh, yes.
That's just absolutely fantastic. And the thing that you said to me, which really resonated, when I was at your house last time, we went to see Elton John. Whoop, whoop, that was
Yes, we
fun.
did.
It was great. And we were just chatting, and you said you just sort of stopped and looked at me and said that was our only way out of our circumstances to get some
Correct.
scholarship money. I said,
Yes,
that's exactly right. It wasn't about
yes.
look at me. It's more about I
Mhm.
want a diploma. But you said,
Right.
was it Mississippi State where you went?
Yes. Yes.
And
I went to
and you got
Mississippi
a
State.
scholarship.
Well, no, I got something a little different. And see, you guys, like I said, you guys were brave enough to do that. I
That's
wasn't.
right.
And
That's right.
I wanted to go to college, but my daddy didn't graduate from high school. And so this was not something that was discussed in my house. This is the truth. My hand to the Lord. My mama just wanted me to get married by the time I graduated from high school. I couldn't get a date, much less a husband. And so I decided to be the first person in my family to go to college. Now, I want y'all to hear me right now. If I had stopped and tried to figure out how we were going to do that, I'd have never pursued that. Sometimes the what has to come before the how. You got to figure out what you want, what you feel like your purpose
Yes.
is, and then the how will follow. You got to step out in faith in that. And so I decided I'm going to college, don't know how. And
Yeah.
there was an elderly woman in my community that had passed away, and she and her husband had decided, because it's such a poor area, to donate all the timber rights on their property as a scholarship fund for any
Mhm.
kid in my county to go to college free. And do you know, all these years later, because that was in the early 80s, all these years later, that one woman's decision has put over $120 million into education. They are still sending kids to school because,
That
my
that's
friends,
amazing.
you got you've got to plant the seed. And Jane, I know you got a pond on your beautiful property there in South Carolina. When you drop a rock in the pond, it ripples out, but we get to control the rock we drop. And so you and I both drop these, ideas and thoughts that have changed our lives, and humor and joy. So if you're listening to us, just remember every day, but you've got some rocks in your pocket. You decide if you're dropping joy and hope and love and kindness, or you're dropping doubt and negativity and unbelief. And so
Yeah.
that one woman's gift, that I didn't know her. And just
Wow.
like we don't know those of you that are listening to us, but we consider it a privilege to be able to even share our stories with you. And that one woman's decision changed my life. And so y'all's vehicle for, scholarship was through the Miss America organization, which was
Right.
magnificent that you and Cheryl both received that. And then mine came through another vehicle. But it was, all of us knew, coming from our backgrounds, that is what we want. We knew what we wanted. The how just had to show up.
Oh man, I love that. That's right. Because when we talked about the only way we could better ourselves, we knew we had to further our
Our
education.
education. Yes.
And then that led to, hey, why don't we try this? And with your coaching and the relationship you have with Cheryl, which was just so dear, and how she has influenced both of us with her story, her life, and
Yes.
had we not tried, Dale, you put yourself out there and won Mrs. Tennessee, and I put myself out there because I'm thinking, I've studied voice. It'd be great to go to graduate school. It'd be great to get into college first. And so that was my vehicle, and we all ended up in the same place. Yours from timber, mine from tomatoes.
Right. Right. Right.
And I've
But
seen
but
you
we
in.
all had to figure it out. And I think those of you that are listening to us right now, I don't care how old you are, I don't care how young you are, your age is just a number it's just a number. If there's a dream in your heart that you're not pursuing yet because you haven't figured out how, just take a step, because all of us just took a step. I never would have dreamed in a million years. I am the shy girl that, I go back to my class reunions now. People cannot believe that I'm out there as a professional speaker, because I was so shy and so insecure as a child and a teenager. But we took the step. And so you've just got to be brave enough to take the step. And neither one of us, you nor I, Jane, chose this speaking career. It chose us.
That's very true.
And
That's very true.
it chose us.
Well, it
And
Jeannie too, because Jeannie
it
started
chose
out
Jeannie.
right because we all had to speak whether we liked it or not, and I liked it.
Right. I did. And, and I remember coming to NSA the first time because I'm a storyteller like you are and like Jeannie was. And I tell stories and then we wrap the principles around them because stories sell and facts tell. And so it's the stories that people remember that will inspire them. We can't motivate, we can only inspire and share information. So I remember when Marilyn Wright called me the first time and she says, check your January calendar. It was like in October. And I'm like, I don't have a January calendar. So that means all the days are open. And she just started laughing. Then she said, well, this Eglin Air Force Base is going to hire you. And then she said, and they're going to fly you. And I'm like, they're going to do what? They're going to pay me to talk and they're going to put me on an airplane? I mean, I was just so blown away. And so to now look at this little girl from Route 3 and I've spoken around the world and, like you have, Jane, and it's just, if we can light that fire in one person that's listening to us today, it just kind of makes me teary-eyed that we are here to be your torchbearer to say, wherever you are right now, let us reach out and light it for you and tell you that you can do it. If it's in your soul, if it is your dream, if it is in your heart, it's sent for a reason.
That's
Light
right.
that fire, face that fear down. It is not telling you the truth. That fear is not telling you the truth. We're telling you the
Right.
truth. You've got it in you. Light that torch and go and let us hear from you.
Yeah,
I start
absolutely.
preaching, girl. I start preaching.
Yeah, amen. I'm with you on that. You and I both have had a similar journey where we have just had to let go and move to a different space. And because we don't want all
Yes.
that negativity and the negative vampires to come after us and keep
No,
planting those
energy
seeds. You've
vampires.
written
No.
how many books have you written now, Dale? And music.
And so I wanted to do a music CD for my table in the back of the room. And so I asked somebody, I want to put all 10 of those songs that have really inspired me, like Winona's Attitude and things like that. And he said, nope, it's going to cost you a fortune. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. He goes, don't you write your own stuff? And I'm like, I do.
Yeah.
He said, well, why don't you write some songs? I'm like, I don't know how to do that. He said, I'm going to put you with 2 writers on Music Row. And he put me with 2 writers on Music Row. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. And I'm going to say this to all of you. We're about to put that out there actually for free. I feel like it needs to be out there. I just talked to one of my co-writers. We're actually getting ready to do another project together. And I am, let's see, my 4th book comes out on November the 11th. Good Morning Gorgeous came out, oh gosh, 5 or 6 years ago. And that, y'all, that came from listening to women get up in the morning every day and talk down to themselves. And
Yeah.
so I started encouraging women, get up every day, find something beautiful about yourself. God sent you here with this beautiful light, and whatever you see, don't let that lie speak to you. Get up and say, good morning, gorgeous, and then say it to 5 people. And I say that on the stage, and oh my gosh, one woman recently sent me a text or called me later, and she said, I sent Good Morning Gorgeous to 5 people. My sister called me and said, has your phone been hacked? I did that off the top of my head in a speaking engagement. I said,
I love
and
that.
then the new book is called 10 to Win. And the reason I did that is I like to share principles that people can do. Everybody complains that they don't have any time. No time, no time. And so it hit me one morning. This book is going to be 10 chapters, 100 pages, everything based on number 10. It's going to be $10. It's going to be easy to buy. It's going to be easy to read. And if you'll do it, it will be a little easy to do. But based around the number 10, read 10 pages of a good book a day. But, listen to something like this right here for 10 minutes. And every chapter will be based on things, either 10 things that you can do, write down 10 gratitudes, give to yourself, give back to yourself 10%. So 10 to win. I'm prophesying it. I'm putting it out there. We're saying it's coming to the market on 11/11 because I think that's angel numbers. And 11/11, November the 11th, we'll be dropping it to Amazon. I'm self-publishing with Mississippi Queen Publishing this time. So my publishing, Mississippi Queen Publishing, and we plan to go into the market on 11/11.
Love it, Dale. That's brilliant. It is wonderful. And 10 things, people can wrap their head around 10.
Right.
And,
10.
and just you know what you're getting when you get the book. With as much as I love my little sweet tea book, people said, "How many recipes are in it?" I said, "Excuse me." Dale is the cook. I have never seen anybody keep their fabulous figure and cook. And then when we've been at the house, is it Jasper or Jackson that's under your feet begging for crumbs?
It is Jasper who thinks he's a dog. And my husband has his fraternity brothers. Look, y'all, those of you that listen to us growing up in the South, I came from a line of women who took care of everybody else, but they did not know how to do any self-care. And my mama was one of them. And I learned all this cooking stuff from my mama. I used to joke with my mama. I'd say she got up and fried a chicken every day just in case somebody died, because she needed to be the first one on the spot with funeral food, because my goodness, she wasn't going to miss an opportunity to bring some potatoes or a chicken over to somebody when they died. Now, my mama is, I know, right? So, this is ingrained in my head. If I got company in the house, I got to feed them. My husband has got 2 fraternity brothers here. Okay. Now, girl, what did I do before I ran to my 9 o'clock appointment this morning? I am in this kitchen making a quiche this morning and making it. I got up, did my makeup, did my hair, put on some cute jeans and my high heels just because I need to feel sassy today. And I stood in there and made a quiche. Who has made a quiche for me lately? Nobody.
No, but I have a request. I'm channeling the guys. Make that French bread dish.
I'm doing it tomorrow.
I knew it. I tell you the truth. I've been to some very nice cuisines and some restaurants, enjoyed some, but that is it. I've got that recipe, and I'm scared that I'm just gonna blow up. I really think that. I'm just gonna have to go and join some group or something. It would be a therapy group. But gosh, that's good.
Here's the thing, y'all. It's called baked caramel French toast, and it sits overnight. Here's the real truth. It's in a cookbook called Any Blonde Can Cook. Now, look, I decided to be blonde, so I am truly blonde. I decided to be blonde. So, how Dolly says, the dumb blonde jokes don't bother me because I know I'm not dumb and I know I'm not blonde.
God bless her. She's got the best quips. So
she does.
Because I know some people love to cook. You just got to say what's in this thing. Because I'm telling y'all, make it. Everybody needs to make this. That'll be your happy thing in the morning. That'll be one of the 10 things or the Good Morning Gorgeous tip. Make this.
Yeah, it's the hit in my house. My husband goes, I think we could start a restaurant or an Airbnb. I'm like, you have lost your mind. You lost your mind because I'm the only one doing this. No.
Yeah, you've already started an Airbnb. And every time I call you, well, listen, you're so gracious. You always have company. In the South, we say we're the nicest people in the country. We just don't mean it. When we say we want you to come place, for God's sake, don't show up. I say that respect. But you were all the time entertaining me. The times that and here's me. I called you up and said, Dale, we got tickets to Elton John. Can we stay at your house? Have you ever had tacky?
Yes. No, that is not tacky. That's what real friends do. You know what? And that's another thing that you women that are listening to us right now, another thing we don't know how to do is we don't know how to ask. Jane, we've had to learn to ask. We've had to learn to ask, and we've got to ask our friends for help. If you're having a tough day, you need to call one of your friends and say, I put this in the book. I was writing yesterday while Grayson was sleeping. But if you really want to talk about a problem, give yourself a limit, though, because what you focus on gets bigger. You can tell a story in 10 minutes if it's a bad story, and then switch it to say, what can we do about it? Because so many
Right.
times we ask the wrong questions, like, why is this happening to me? Because, Jane, you and I were asking that question here in 2020 when we completely lost our business that we
Yeah.
had worked so hard. But
Right.
there are no answers to that why question,
No
usually.
answers.
You
Yeah.
have to say, what can I do right now? What can I change right now? And usually that's you can change your mind.
Yeah.
So, ask people, ask for what you need, and don't be afraid. We need each other. And that's another reason that, we're continuing this beautiful work that Jeannie started, that we know that people need encouragement and they need light and they need love, especially in a world that just tends to focus on the darkness.
And
And
you know
so,
what?
Jane, I'm just so proud of you for doing this. And I'm so
Oh
honored
gosh.
that you would have me
Oh,
today.
I just I just love seeing you in person or online or just on the phone. But I knew when I went through that dark time with losing my mama and my sister and all that mess we went through. And it was the hardest time for me. And I realized a girlfriend needed to go sit down and pay somebody to help her figure this out in her brain. And I'm not
That's right.
above doing that. But I realized it was a real problem when my friend Dixie would answer the phone. She'd see me on the screen, come up the number and say, instead of, hey, it was now what? Now what? And I thought, Lord, I need help. I need to go sit down and talk to
Such a
somebody.
blessing.
But you're right. Dave Caperman yesterday said, just like with COVID, we didn't choose COVID. COVID happened.
Nope.
And we had to make our way through it. And then, the people in your life that have health crisis or life, you lost your
Right.
daddy. And
I did.
all of
And my
that you went.
father-in-law.
That's right.
And my
Oh, that's right.
father-in-law.
Yeah.
All in the
And
same year
and
with COVID.
yeah, oh sure. And it gets to be tough. But what I love about you and always have is the ability you have to stand up on the stage. And I've seen you twice in Augusta, Georgia for this women's group. And there you
Mhm.
are. I remember you having that gorgeous pink and had the jacket. And everybody's just going like, wow. And then you start to talk. And you bring everybody into the funny of Dale. And then you will zing them with just some of the comments you've made about the rock in the pond and the ripples. And everybody is going, laugh, laugh, laugh. And they're going, oh my gosh. And your husband, I'll have to blame Rob for this. Husband
Oh
number two.
yeah, I better. Yeah, I better add on to that because he won't appreciate it. I have a starter husband, but I have a keeper husband for nearly
Oh, yeah.
almost 23 years. So
Dale, don't say. That is just
almost
crazy.
23.
Oh,
Yeah.
and he is one of the sweetest. I keep saying, Thomas, listen to Rob. Isn't he? Rob just grabs you and says, "Oh, baby," and I'll go, "Grab me, Thomas." Woo! Yeah, come grab me, sugar. He is so
Yeah,
sweet to you.
he
He's a sweet
and
man.
yes, and 2 nights ago, and I want to say this to all of you, please affirm the behavior of the people in your lives that you notice. 2 nights ago, one of my really dear friends, she was actually in my speaking engagement in LA a few years ago. She's been on The Young and the Restless for 40 years,
Oh,
and
I
her
know
name
you're
is
talking about.
Tracy. Yeah,
Yeah,
her name's Tracy Bregman, and Tracy lives here now in Franklin, Tennessee. Oh yeah, y'all, I'm in Franklin, right outside of Nashville.
makes sense.
And the other night, Tracy invited Rob and I to dinner with she and her 91-year-old mother. And
Oh,
her 91-year-old mother is a former actress, and Rob was just so amazing talking to her. She knew Marilyn Monroe, she knew all of these people in Hollywood, and he was just absolutely fascinated by her life. And you could just tell she got so much joy in telling the story. And Tracy's about to be out of town for a month, so we're going to go pick up Miss Susie and take her out one night. But I made sure I circled back to Rob and said, I noticed how much time you invested in that conversation with Miss Susie and how much I appreciate that that's who you are and that you that you spent that time. And Tracy called me the next day and said the same thing. So all of us need to affirm each other and speak
yeah,
light to each other. So, and we forget to do it in our own families.
yeah,
It's we love, me and you love affirming each other, but we got to make sure that we do it in our own families with our children and the people that are closest to us.
That sounds just like Rob. That sounds like something he would just he probably got more joy out of listening to her share. Because let me tell you
He
something.
did.
These elderly people that we know, when they're gone, that library is closed and gone. I mean, how
Right.
many times have I said, golly, I wish I could talk to my grandmother to see, are you related to so and so? Didn't y'all used to do this? I'm going, I don't have anybody to talk to, because my aunts, although they're still here, they're sort of not, because their age. And so, boy,
I
it's just,
love listening to you talk about your mom and Tootsie and all the things that you know listen to, and then I was able to, even though I got to know meet your mama a couple times, I feel like I knew them because of you. And I love that that's what you do, Jane, that you
oh,
bring them to life, and how blessed we are that you are such an amazing storyteller, that you allow us to
you sweetie.
experience all these things that you share. And we've got to all do more of that.
Oh yeah. Well, and two, just meeting Dave Yoho was unbelievable. He said that he's been in the White House, 95. He's been at the White House. The first president was John F. Kennedy.
Wow.
I mean, so but I got to go back to Mama. I won't say exactly what Elena said. You know what I'm going
I
to
know,
say.
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
I'm not going to use her words. Okay, we got to do our sweeter word.
Sweeter
Mama met
words.
you, and we were going to
Oh.
national speakers, and we always would room together. And Mama said, "Are you gonna room with that real pretty girl Dale?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, Mama." She said, "Lock your door, lock your door. Somebody's gonna break in and attack both of y'all." Then she paused and said, "Well, they wouldn't really want you, but they would want her. They'd make you walk." I said, "Oh, thank you, Mother. I feel so special."
Oh, Jade, I remember when you got off the phone with her, I was crying. I could hear Miss Eleanor. I mean, and I could hear her voice right now. It's just like, this is just a matter of fact. It's not up for discussion. This is just how it is.
Yeah, but Dale, my mama
Mm.
was wow. I mean, just no filter, no nothing. Yo mama is about the sweetest, most beautiful. And I love the pictures you had with her holding the baby for the first time. Oh,
Yes.
that just
And
got to me.
here's the thing, and I want you ladies to think about this. Until my daddy passed, she's pretty much been in that caretaker role. Her
Yeah.
grandparents lived in the home with them when she was growing up, and then married my daddy at 18 or 19 and started taking care of him because it was one of those things. If daddy rattled his glass, she was
Oh,
getting up
tell
and
me
getting the
about it.
tea. You know all about that. And so when once daddy died, and I started asking her, I'd say, "Well, Mama, do you want to do this or that?" And she'll go, "Well, I don't know. That's fine." I said, "Didn't ask you if it was fine. I asked you if you
Mm.
want to do that or not." And do you know that she couldn't tell me? Now she's in the nursing home by choice. And for the first time ever in this woman's life at 85, 86 years old, it was difficult for her to realize she could decorate that room any way she wanted.
Oh my
And I'd
goodness.
say, because for her entire life, it's been about what somebody else wanted or and that's beautiful, but she hasn't really had any self care. And so I'm still trying to educate her that it's okay to take care of yourself. And whoever you are listening to us right now, it's especially, I think, here in the South, we love taking care of other people, but we can't be our best to other people if we don't take care of ourselves.
Boy, is that
And that
not
means our
profound.
soul, spirit, body. And so, I'm getting her new clothes and like, "What do you think about this?" "Well, I reckon it's fine." I said, "I don't want to hear I reckon it's fine. I want you to say, no, I don't like it, or yes, I love it. You get to
Well,
say that."
Dale,
Well,
just don't get her a strapless dress. You know how she was on y'all's trip. Can you tell that story?
oh my
Well, see,
Lord,
here's the thing.
Jane.
You and I sat in the back of the car with Thomas and Rob driving, and we started in on old boyfriends and stuff our mamas have said to us that we're still going, what? And your
What?
husband said, if y'all don't take this on the road, and I
Right.
thought, golly,
Exactly.
it's some funny, funny stuff because you're like me. You want to be a compliant daughter, but some stuff goes, What? You know?
Well, that story was I was driving this after Daddy died, and I was going to drive her home and turn around and drive right back. It's 5 hours. It was hot. It was July. I had on a strapless dress. I have nothing showing. It's knee length. There ain't nothing showing. It's like right here. Probably more showing in this shirt than that. Right here. And so on the way home, she said, well, on the Facebook, it's like the Walmart. I don't know why. If somebody out there can explain that to me, I would really like to know. Because every time it's the Walmart and the Facebook. And she'll go on her phone, she hadn't figured it out yet. She'll say, do I mash it right here? Do I mash it right here? And the other day, she's talking to me on the phone. She's like, well, here, let me show you this in my room. I'm like, Mama, and I'm hitting the phone. Mama, you are not on FaceTime. You are not on FaceTime. So anyway, I'm driving home, and she finds out that one of her friends is going to have a birthday at Miss Gwen's restaurant. Well, Miss Gwen's restaurant is my girlfriend. Y'all, it's a hamburger joint. It ain't nothing but a hamburger joint. There ain't nothing fancy about it. And so I said, well, Mama, if you really want to go to that birthday tomorrow afternoon, I will stay one extra day and I will take you to that birthday party. What time is it? Oh, I reckon it's about 2:00 in the afternoon. And I said, well, Mama, I need you to understand that I didn't bring anything to wear to a birthday party. This is it. This is all I got. I got a pair of shorts to pick blueberries in, and I got this dress. She didn't say nothing. She didn't say nothing, not for a minute. So in a second, she said, we need to stop at the Dollar General to get her some stuff, some toilet tissue or something. And I said, okay, well, I give me a list, and I'm about to get out of the car. And she says, well, here, take a little extra money. They might have something in there for you to wear to that birthday party. I'm like, what? What? Wait a minute. What? And I said, what are you talking about? Well, I just want to do something nice to you. Well, I'm 64 years old. I kind of over all that. I'm like, Mama, you're not going to be passive aggressive with me. Now, if you don't want me wearing this dress, you just need to tell me. I didn't understand that Eupora had turned into the Vatican, and that Miss Gwen's was the Vatican, and I needed to cover my shoulders. I didn't know Miss Gwen was the Vatican.
And I didn't know they sold habits at the Dollar Tree or at the Dollar General or whatever.
They don't. And so I kind of called her out on that. I'm like, Mama, what is wrong with this? Well, I'm just not used to seeing the shoulders. And I'm like, guess what, Mama? I'm so sad for you. And guess what? Her little stubborn self decided she wasn't going to that birthday party.
No way. I didn't hear this part.
No, she wasn't going to go. But then we figured out she got it on the wrong day anyway, so it all worked out.
Well, listen, you sent me a video. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen about your mama's debit card. You got to tell that.
Oh, dear Lord. Oh, my Lord.
That's the funniest.
Oh, this poor daddy died, and they quit taking checks at the Dollar General. And she had a little woman that helped her, and it was all, always sit writing a check out to the Dollar General. And so Mama said, well, I don't know what we're going to do. They're not going to take a check at the Dollar General. I'm standing there in the kitchen. I'm like, Mama, now when y'all open that checking out, I know for certain that y'all got a debit card. Yeah, we did. I said, do you know where it is? She said, I sure do. She went and opened that refrigerator that's got the freezer on the top and starts digging in the freezer. And I said, wait a minute, what you doing? What you doing? And I looked at Daddy. I said, Daddy, what's she doing? Daddy's laughing. She goes, well, I put it up in tinfoil up here in the deep freeze. I said, why do you have your debit card in the deep freeze? And Daddy said, well, we don't reckon anybody gonna look there for it. I'm like, really? Okay. So she starts digging out squirrel meat and deer meat, and girl, we never found that debit card. So I drove into town. It's 10 miles into town. This is the scary part. I drove 10 miles into town. I went into the bank. I told that girl, I said, my mama has lost her debit card in the freezer. And I hate to tell you that, but my mama has lost her debit card, and it's in the freezer, and we can't find it. And wait for it. She said, well, you don't know how many times that happens. I'm like, what? Is this the new definition of cold cash? I mean, what is this? No, And then I say to my brother, who is college educated, he is a very successful man. I said, Greg, you know, she got that debit card in the freezer, and I'm pretty sure Daddy got money stuck everywhere. He said, well, don't knock that too hard. I'm like, oh, do you have money hidden in your house? He goes, I just might. I just might. Now, I'm not knocking any of y'all that got money hid in your house, because guess what? Mama found extra bonus money after Daddy died because he
Oh,
had
that's all
money
right.
hid.
That is
Oh,
so
but I
funny.
love, I miss going out there, now that we still have the house. But guys, cherish those moments with your people. Jane, I know that you miss your mama and
Oh,
Tootsie,
Lord.
and at
I
times
do.
we, you know, I, I stay in a hotel now. It just, it's not the same.
Oh,
When
gosh, that
when
is
I go
tough.
home, I'll drive out there, and when we took Grayson down, Nick, my son, wanted to go out there and fish in the pond, and he did. So, cherish your roots, cherish those people, and even if you got a mama like mine who, think you just all being a hussy because you got shoulders showing, I guess.
Oh, I loved your mama.
Oh,
I just, and I
she's
need to send her
precious.
a
She
card.
loves you, Jane. She
Well,
loves you,
she's
Jane.
well, she's a sweetheart. And Dale, I think about all out of my books, you are in two of them, I think. This last one was about the old boyfriend. And that can you tell
Oh
that one?
gosh, and I got new boyfriend stories. The one guy and Dale Thompson, if you ever hear this, baby, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna apologize to you on the front end. So I'm apologizing to the old boyfriend on the front end. So the only boyfriend I had in high school, his name was Dale Thompson. Yep, y'all figured that out right there. Because I had, how you do in high school, especially in the South, you've already got every monogram in your head done. My mom had already figured it out. Me and Dale Thompson, we gonna be married. Well, Dale Thompson dumped my behind, in high school. And so about 2 years ago, right before my friend Stephen died, I get a card in the mail. Do you remember this, Jane?
Oh,
I get a Valentine card in the mail, and I recognized his handwriting from 1976. And it was a
okay.
Valentine card, and it said, I'm sorry this is late. And I'm like, late as in past February 14th, or late like 40 years late. Which one? Which late? And tells me I'm the best girlfriend he ever had. And he always loved me, and he always would. And I'm like, excuse me, what? Well, I had to call my girlfriends, because that's what you do, especially in the
Oh,
South.
yeah.
You call your girlfriends and said, okay, anybody know what's happening with Dale Thompson? And I hear this, oh girl. And I'm like, please share. And I'm not knocking. And now y'all don't get ugly with me. She said, well, he's had a little rough time, and he's living in a camper, not a trailer, a
Oh,
camper.
Lord.
And she goes, and sweetie, he doesn't have any teeth right now. And I'm like, what? What happened? And so then I find out, Jane, he's telling all over town that I dumped him. So, girl, I had to go down there and set that straight. I had
Here
to
it
go down
is.
there and set that straight.
I've been looking for
Yes,
it. Uh,
yes,
page 22, the scorned woman Southern style. All about
yep,
the old boyfriend. Here we go,
yeah.
right here.
Y'all pick up Jane's book, and you can read about all the boys that dumped me in Webster County, Mississippi.
But you know what, Dale? I know what you
Couldn't keep
do.
a boyfriend.
Well, here's the thing. You and I see them, and we know better, but we're just as sweet and kind, and bless their hearts, they just get the wrong signal, and
They
they
do.
they think in their heads, "Oh, she wants me," you know, and you're going, "No, I got me something really good, and I live, and your house in Nashville is, oh,
Um,
yeah." I tell everybody, Dale's office is in a castle. It is
it's in a
so
castle.
gorgeous.
It's got a turret.
Oh, it's so gorgeous, and
It's got an oval dome. It's got like the Oval Office in there, Southern style.
it's it's
Southern
it's
style.
it's incredible. It's one of the most. I love the way that house is laid out. Girl, it's laid out for people. It's laid out for company. I mean,
Well,
this
that's
the
what we plan to
outside.
do.
It's
Y'all
incredible
come
here.
on now.
Come
So
on
say
now,
y'all
let's do
come on
this.
now and visit. Y'all come on and visit now. I'm fortunate enough that even all the guys that dumped me or didn't date me in high school and college, we're all still friends now, and to see how, their lives have turned out. And I'm going home. going home next month because my town is so small. The small class reunions, like my class, we're having 2 decades, the 70s and the 80s. I'm actually speaking up in Lansing, Michigan. I'm going to fly home, land here at 9 a.m., get in the car. I'm going to drive the 5 hours to Mississippi because, girl, you know I'm not missing this.
Honey.
And we're having a block party. They're saying that we may have over the 70s and the 80s, we may have, 300 or 400 people. So it'll be fun to go back and see what people are doing now that are not, that are coming from out of town.
I got so tickled when one class reunion you went to, and I said, how'd it go? And you said, my neck hurt. I said, why? You said, because everybody had those monster trucks, and I kept saying, hey, y'all, look at
Well, no. And do you remember what happened with that one? It was in a little house, like a little catering house, and the lights went out. So they pulled one of those jacked up trucks out to the front, and they turned on the bright lights to shine in through the window, and they pulled a motorcycle up around back and shine the light in that way. And that is how we had dinner. And that you can't make up. You can't
Honey,
make
you
that
just
up.
got to do what you got to do. I'm
do what you gotta
hoping
do.
to embed a clip of you speaking. If not, I'll do a URL for YouTube to go to your
Okay.
channel. And
Yes, and follow me on
want-
all of the social media. I post
Yeah.
things every single day, so follow me anywhere.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Tell people about your website, how to get in touch with you, and anything you want to share. I know you've already shared the book. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be awesome.
Well, Dale Smith Thomas right there. If you just put that in Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Yes, I have a Twitter account. I don't even do that anymore. No, not that one. What's that other one? TikTok. That one. TikTok. Whatever.
I know.
Dale Smith Thomas. I post mainly on Instagram. It goes to Facebook, but I do something positive on Instagram every single day.
Yes, you do.
So
yes, you do. They're beautiful too. Yeah.
Every single day. And but you can go to my website and it links to all those pages. And I just want to encourage all of you to let your light shine and forge friendships like Jane and I have, and nurture and love the people that are in your world, because as we all know, Jane's lost people really close to her like I have in the last year. Time is now. The time is now.
Oh yeah.
We honor you, Jeannie. We honor you.
Yes, we do. And Jeannie was such an icon for us all to learn from. And sadly, I think the last thing that she taught us was life is short, but it is wide.
Life is short.
And
yes,
she was gone very quickly and too soon, in my opinion. That's
very
to me, that
soon.
was young. That was young.
Very young. Absolutely.
And the older I get, the younger it is.
Yes. Isn't that the truth?
Dale, this has been so fun. We got to do this again.
We will do it again. We will do it again. We have more stories to tell.
Yes, and one of the things that just cracked me up when I called you one time, and I said, "What you been doing?" She said, "Costco, senior citizens on Wednesday." And your name and senior citizen doesn't go together, but it does. I mean, chronologically. And then, so tell them when you
carded.
Yes,
I got carded at Costco. I'm like, I was the sweet girl that was in church all the time. I wasn't going anywhere to get carded when I was growing up. I had to wait till I am 63 years old to get carded at Costco. And these people take their job serious. Like, I am trying to bust up in there. I'm going to break the rule. I just come from the gym. I'm like, he's like, excuse me. I'm like, what? Young lady, this is just for the seniors. I said, what is a senior? He said, over 60. I said, okay, that's me. He goes, young lady, I'm not even going to ask for your driver's license because you're brave enough to tell me that. You need to go on in there.
Love that. Oh. That's my goal. When I walk through Costco, I'll say, don't you want to see my ID?
And they go, card me at Costco.
I want to be carded at Costco. That's my goal. Well, I love you, honey.
For wine, not for wine, just for getting
no,
no,
not for that. Love you, buckets. This has been a fun time. Love you, sweetie. And y'all have a great weekend. Give Rob, the keeper husband, my love.
I will, baby. I will. Say hi to Thomas. Love you.